So, quite early on in the film, Miranda says, I'm a lawyer, that's who I am.
Right.
But I just wondered how much she's actually realising that there might be more to life than her career.
I think she is starting to realise that she is more than just a lawyer. I think that idea of herself is a sort of an outmoded idea that she hasn't re-examined. I think she always felt confident about being a lawyer and not so confident about her more womanly qualities. You know, will I be a good wife? Am I a good wife? Will I be a good mother? Am I a good mother? And I think now she's gotten to a place where she's really kind of figured those things out. And she's like, I'm a wife, I'm a mother, and I'm great at both of those things. Whereas a lawyer, my boss makes me feel like I'm terrible at this. So I think one of the beautiful things about what happens to Miranda in this film is she arrives at a point where she says, I want to be happy and I want to enjoy my life. And if I have an aspect of my life that's just making me miserable, I need to walk away from it. And I have the strength of character to do that.
It's one of the exciting things about getting a bit older, I think, isn't it? To have that in life.
It is. You don't feel like you just have to accept what you're given.
Yeah.
You can say no.
And what did you make of Miranda's 80s incarnation that we see at the beginning of the film?
I think it was very funny. I think it's very funny. And I think as comical as the way she looks, I think also it gives us a little window into what her frame of mind was and how harried and hardworking she was and how everything was a struggle. And I think it's a very strong contrast to the more easygoing, confident woman who feels more secure in her maturity.
And her fashion sense has really evolved.
Very, very
She's right up there with the other girls,
very different,
isn't she
yes,
now? And
yes.
what was your favourite outfit in the film?
Oh, it's so hard to know. I really love the very first outfit, the yellow that we first see her in. I mean, it's a simple dress, but the color is just so gorgeous.
And how much did you enjoy the Abu Dhabi karaoke scene? And Miranda is really the sort of cheerleader behind that, isn't she? She gets the girls up there.
Yes.
And as Samantha says, you know, you're fun in Abu Dhabi. I like that line.
It's a little nerve-wracking not being a singer, to sing in front of all the people that were actually there and then all the people that will be there in the audiences in movie theaters. But it was fun, and as corny as that song is, I think I love that song. I had the 45 of it when I was a kid, so it was exciting.
Very appropriate woman power song, wasn't it, as well?
Absolutely.
Now, the scene with Miranda and Charlotte is actually my favourite in the film, I think. Touching, but comic as well. But how much was that intervention needed?
I think it was very strongly needed, but I think what was nice about it, you know, Miranda, when she disapproved of one of her friend's choices, she would always tell them, you know, just sit them down and just blurt it right out and just tell them what they were doing wrong and what they should do instead. And now Miranda knows that life isn't so simple and it isn't so black and white. And if she sees a friend of hers in trouble and making mistakes and in pain, she sits and she waits for her moment. And then she doesn't tell her friend what they're doing wrong. She asks them how they're doing. And she shares with her friend things that she feels bad about, so that her friend feels like she can also say, oh, I'm having a hard time. Things aren't going the way I hoped they would.
I just wondered how you thought Michael Patrick King dealt with Anthony and Stanford's wedding, which we see at the beginning of the film, the amazing, opulent wedding.
Yeah, I thought it was terrific, and I thought there was a nice little underscoring of make sure that we understand that the wedding is taking place in Connecticut, because of course they can't get married legally in New York. I mean, I think obviously there are many, many comical aspects of the wedding, but I think there are very moving things too. And as gay as that wedding is, it's the gayest wedding possible, imaginable, right? Also, at a certain point, it's not a gay wedding; it's just a wedding. And at a certain point, you know, a gay marriage isn't a gay marriage; it's just a marriage.
And just finally, Carrie is approached in the film at one point by a fan who says, I am you. And I just wondered if maybe you could share an experience with a fan that you've had yourself, that either a comment that was really gratifying or just amusing.
Oh, I mean, people do come up to all of us all the time and say, you know, you're me. Of all the poor girls, you're me. Or you're every woman I've ever dated, I get sometimes. But I had a thing about 3 days ago where I was walking down the street and I walked by a construction site and there was a construction worker, and as I'm walking by, he said, Sex and the City, right? And I said, yes. And he said, May 27th. And I thought, you know, we have fans in unexpected places.
That's great to hear. Cynthia Nixon, thanks very much, and all the best with Sex and the City 2 when it's released in the UK.
Thank